This is the Player 4 Podcast. Join us each week as we talk about video games, entertainment, and pop culture, and bring in guests from the Rooster Teeth community. Player 4 has entered the game.
It's the Player 4 Podcast, starting up another episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you stole that theme song from Alex. Hello, I am Tristan, aka Shagrazier on the Rooster Teeth website.
I'm Malachi, aka Sukikiwa.
Tristan, I like how you were just talking and then hello with your mouth up on the microphone.
I had to switch personas. Tell us who you are, Joseph.
Wait, who?
You.
Me, Joseph. I'm Joseph Dunlap, aka Joseph Dunlap, aka Jay Dunlap. Alex is not here, so that means I had no one to piss off just now.
It's true.
By saying my last name.
You were gonna say I was not here?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you're not here, but usually it's Alex who can't make it. Or me.
Malik Kai. Oh, gosh.
So it's just the three of us. Just the three of us.
Just the
I have a question. You know that song, the Lonely Island song? With the honey in the middle, there's some leeway.
Oh, no, that's a different one. No, I don't know that one.
Like, does that apply if it's three guys?
Yes, definitely.
That applies even if it's three guys?
It's not gay. As long as there are three guys, it's not gay anymore.
Okay, so...
Two guys, it's gay. Three guys, it's not gay anymore.
What's up, guys? None of us is inherently gay.
Andromeda is up. I think we lost Alex. I think we lost Alex because of it. I'm sorry. So I was going with the topics that I wrote down.
Yeah, so Alex is all, I can't make it because of technical difficulties. He's probably playing Andromeda.
I technically can't use my legs right now because I'm glued to my TV. It's difficult. So probably.
That would be a technical difficulty if you can't get up.
Yeah, right?
Wake me up inside. I can't get up.
Call my name and wake me from this hell.
Say my name.
No?
No?
Alright. No. But I know the reason I believe this is because he told me even last week, I don't think I'm going to show up for the D&D session because Andromeda is coming out and I'm going to be playing that. And then he shows up for the D&D session. I'm like, surprise, surprise. It's like, my system has to go through an update. It won't let me install the game without the latest system update. He was really PO'd.
Yeah, I remember that because the update was specifically for Andromeda, not for the system just in general.
Right.
Really?
It was a system update, but the system update was so that the system could run Andromeda.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's got the Dookie Nets, so it was, he French fried when he should have pizzaed.
I can count to potato.
Oh, yeah? I can count to 55.
I made a reference to 55 in front of my students, and I realized how much dated that was. Especially when, one person thought it was funny.
The rest of the
class
at
least one of them got it.
Yeah, no one else got it.
That's so sad. I don't like feeling old.
Right? And only one student actually got it when I was playing an acoustic piano version of Hey Girl, You're an All-Star.
Oh my god.
You should just, introduce them to writing lyrics and tell them it's like writing poetry and then just start, spoken word reciting the lyrics to Smash Mouth's All-Star. Start in the middle of the song and see how long it takes any of them to recognize it.
Okay, so YouTube knows me pretty well because it recommends things based off of what I've been watching, and so it knows that I want to watch apparently parodies of All-Star because of that meme that's going all over YouTube, which is B-movie butt and All-Star butt and things like that.
Okay, I'm not actually familiar with that one, but all right.
So this was All-Star, but it's a really sad acoustic cover in a minor key. So it was a guy playing the guitar and singing a cappella vocals over it.
I just like how it's a really sad acoustic cover in a minor key.
Oh yeah, that's what the meme is. Sometimes it's Smash Mouth's All-Star, but it's a different song accompanying it. So it's at a slower tempo, or there was one where it was Smash Mouth All-Star, but they don't stop coming and it gets danker. So around halfway through, on the second verse, every line ends with, and they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming, and then finally
Gross.
memes start get thrown into it until it finally just ends.
It sounds gross.
Yeah, I know. It reminds me of
You-
the Mom Spaghetti version of Lose Yourself by Eminem.
So he showed up to D&D sad because he couldn't play Andromeda. And Joseph, I know, is really excited about Andromeda because you've played all of the Mass Effect many times.
Yes, I am in the middle of my third playthrough of Mass Effect 2. I've done about 5 in the first game and 2 in the third game. And yeah, I just want to say, last week when you guys recorded without me because I was on vacay,
Oh my god!
Gina said staycation one time. I was like, don't say that word again. Staycation.
Does that mean you have stakes, or does it mean you stay wherever you're
It's where you get
vacationing?
like a hotel room in town, or you just stay home, or something like that. Like we had to
no, that's
fumigate our
terrible.
house one time, and we had a staycation.
It sounds like a Bob's Burgers kind of word.
Anyway,
I would-
anyway, so last week, while you guys were recording the episode 102, Alex goes, Joseph probably won't get Andromeda right away. And I'm like, screw you.
I'm like, I don't think we know a bigger Mass Effect fan, and he'd be like, I'm the biggest Mass Effect fan. I'm like, I don't think you are.
Maybe Stuart, but otherwise it's me. Stuart is streaming Andromeda. He
It was funny because when he came on and told us that he changed his name from Stuart to Mass Halo Gear, he then went on to explain that it was weird that he changed his name to that because he almost never plays any of those 3 games.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I remember that. I was like, so is it Mass Halo Gear because you play Mass Effect, Halo, and Gears of War? And he's like, it's almost like I don't play any of those games. I'm like, what?
But I don't. Maybe he was being sarcastic and it just went over our heads.
Oh,
Maybe
he's
plays
going and
lots
broke
of-
the humor, he did.
Yeah, he Britished it up and we didn't get it.
Yeah, so I am currently in the process of downloading Andromeda. Of course, I stopped it for the podcast. Alex was like, I'm going to sound like a robot during D&D because I'm downloading the update. I'm not stopping it. Of course, it's an
I'm not
update. I don't know if you can pause it on the Xbox anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, hopefully by tomorrow I'll be playing Andromeda, and then next week Alex and I are going to talk about it.
Yay!
You
can
mentioned...
tell us.
Hmm?
I was going to say you can tell us about all the nasty alien sex you have.
So D&D.
Edit that line out.
So, so you mentioned D&D. What's going on?
I did. I wanted to talk about it because I'm maniacal and I was really proud of how the story developed over the past couple sessions. So I wanted to talk about it for a couple minutes. I want to say, so Malachi, you play some D&D, right?
Yeah.
There he is. He's still alive. And
Well-
and you know it's fun. You know the players make the story, and the DM is almost like, at least in my case, the DM is almost like the listener while you guys tell me the story. But now and then, right, your DM's gonna have some fun and set up some mean little tricks, right? Like
For referring to sticking a thing to detour the party and be like, oh hey, there's a red dragon.
it's like
That's
you
not really
mean
tricking anyone.
What?
He did something to force the party down a certain road and then put a dragon at the end of that road.
Yeah. And then the party's
I would call
like,
that mean.
yeah. Or just like, well, from my experience with my LARPing was dragon flying overhead and party members like, hey, it's a red dragon. I want to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it with arrow. You sure you want to do that? I'm shooting by arrow.
Okay, well that is definitely a case of your players being dumb. No, when I mean mean little tricks, I mean throwing something at the party that they have a chance to figure out before it all comes crumbling down around them, but the chance is low, and so that you're almost guaranteed to get your payoff as they realize that they've been duped. And so in this case, I have the players, they entered a town that is being attacked by zombies, and they figure out through their knowledge checks that it must be necromancers raising zombies to attack the town. So they go to the temple of the Raven Queen, the god of death, who hates zombies and necromancers, to see what they can learn there. And there they met an old doddering priest who knew next to nothing about necromancy, just knew that zombies were bad. And they wanted to have him dig up any information he could about necromancy. So he
Wait,
goes
I
and
remember
starts...
this barely.
Yeah,
I
it
missed
did
the
happen.
following session, but I do remember at the end of a session, they went over to this priest and they're like, yeah, there's zombies. Like, zombies, you say? I know nothing of these zombies.
He was so not that obvious, but it was really weird. Like, that was the chance to figure it out because the Raven Queen's whole order exists to fight against undeath, to make sure that things live, and then they die, and then they stay dead. So the idea that a priest of the Raven Queen wouldn't have any information about fighting zombies is really spacey. But, as players are wont to do, they trust NPCs. So, when the NPC said, well, I can look for some information in these books, but there really hasn't been anything like that around here for hundreds of years, they go, okay, we're going to have to figure this out on our own. So they spent the next couple days tromping through the woods, fighting random groups of zombies that were guarding tents and the like in the woods, and then finally found themselves some necromancers who had disguised themselves as hunters and lulled them into a false sense of security, and while they were sleeping tried to sacrifice them for their necromantic rituals. Having survived that, the players then returned, grumpily, but victorious, to the Temple of the Raven Queen, only to find that their wagon and all of their horses, which are a massive amount of gold in value, missing from the front of the temple, because that's where they left them. And then they go inside to demand from this doddering old priest the location of their missing wagon and horses, and he's not there. Instead, there is a buff young priest who is covered in zombie gore, and who greets them and says, I don't know where your wagon is. I've been out fighting zombies for the past week, and this is the first time I've been back at the temple. Is there some other way I can help you? And the party goes on to explain that they had been there the day before and had been greeted by an older priest who was trying to help them with research. To which the younger priest responds, I'm the only cleric in this temple. I'm constantly asking for help from the larger cities, but they have yet to send me any more clerics. So that was the mean little trick that I played. I stuck one of the necromancers incognito in the Temple of the Raven Queen, who as soon as they left, stole all their stuff and left with it.
I just want to say they weren't trying to sacrifice all of us. They were trying to sacrifice little girl.
Well, okay, she's an easy target, and she had asked to stay in their tent. So they said, yeah, that's fine. You can stay in our tent, little girl.
Yeah. So the guy who plays little girl, that's what my character calls her because he doesn't know her name. He's embarrassed to ask, so in his journal she's referred to as little girl. Who plays little girl?
That's our Norwegian friend. Andreas. Yeah.
And he's joining us in 2 weeks, you said, to be a guest on the podcast?
He asked. He told us that he'd like to be a guest, so we'll have him on to talk about Rooster Teeth and D&D stuff.
I personally thought this was a fun session for my character. The aftermath of the attack of the hunters turned necromancers trying to sacrifice little girl. Would you like to explain to Malachi what was fun about my role-playing this session?
No, it's your story. Please tell us what you enjoyed about role-playing this one.
Okay, so I started off by making an offhanded remark that it might be like virgin sacrifice, because he had heard or read in a book that was an important thing for cults. And he quickly then covered and said, well, I mean, like, most of us aren't virgins. Like, I'm pretty sure, like 90% sure that we all know how sex works, but this girl is like 12, so she's not. Like, she is the virgin, and the rest of us aren't. Virgin. Yeah, so, and they get a little suspicious of that.
Yeah, I think it was about the second or third time you mentioned it that somebody finally goes, well, aren't you not a virgin, Tim?
At one point he even says, like, well, yeah, I think it was virgin sacrifice, because she's the virgin of the group.
Yeah,
she's 12.
The virgin.
She's the one who...
There was this weird emphasis to the way you said, like, because she's the virgin of the group. And everybody's like, yes, she is the only virgin in the group. Tam, is there something you need to share with us?
And I'm like, yeah, I had this girlfriend that turned out to be my cousin, but...
Oh, God. Yeah, that was about the time where the cleric, who is now on a bent to find the necromancer who stole one of the books from his library on necromancy, took the little girl and said, we're getting very far away from this strange man now, honey, okay?
You mean is that before or after I assaulted the cleric's ears with the contents of a fictional book I read about Ouijas?
I mean, he was really intrigued in where you were getting your information, what kind of information it was. So assaulted is not the word he would use, but it was after that.
Because the way I viewed it was me telling him way more than he wanted to know, but maybe it's after he realized it was fiction.
You effectively read some like bodice ripper that simply was set in a cult of Ouijas, and then explained the plot to him, and he was like, He's like, that's an over-romanticization. And I thought it was a funny little inside joke, because you and I had talked about Ouijas just a few moments prior, and I had told you that since I had done a lot of 3.5 that I remember Ouijas being female, and you were like, oh, I didn't know, because she's like a flaming skull or something. A flayed, yeah, the emblem for Ouijas is just a flayed skull, so I always just imagined it was a male god, and it turns out it's not.
I thought it was a funny little inside joke after that, where the cleric mentions Ouijas and says he. My character's like, well, actually, Ouijas, according to the book I read, is female. And he's like, no, that's an over-romanticization. Ouijas is a guy.
People just want to, bang the god of death. Hopefully they get to live forever afterward.
Who doesn't want to bang a flayed skull?
I don't want that at all.
So the answer's
okay.
Everyone? Okay, so, moving on.
Please, move us on. After that, we had a little discussion earlier because I was making weird noises. Turned out it was the rhythm game I was playing. This led to fun stuff.
What is the rhythm game?
The rhythm game I've been playing is a little cell phone app called Love Live School Idol Festival, and it is based on an anime of the same title. And it's about these high school girl characters, as many anime are, who want to they want to make their school more popular to increase attendance because their school is at risk for having its funding pulled and getting shut down. And they don't want that. So they're like, oh, you know what's a really trendy thing that's happening around Japan right now? School idols. Basically, students, we get together, we form little musical groups, we write songs, we compose music, we make little costumes, and bam, we're going to put our school on the map with this. And it's a cute show, the characters are funny, and the game is it's your standard rhythm game. It shoots out some notes over a song, and you hit the notes. That's what I was playing. But it really bugs me. Like, the songs are awesome. Honestly, the music for the show is great. But the whole premise of the show seems to sugarcoat or gloss over the fact that these, basically 3, there's 9 of them, but there are really only 3 really hard-working ones when it comes to the song and dance routine. 14, 15-year-old girls writing songs, writing the lyrics, composing the music, choreographing the dance, making the costumes. They are professional songwriters and performers.
I have a question. Were these just random girls, or were these musical prodigies before this happened?
Random schoolgirls who weren't, some of them aren't even good at doing their schoolwork.
So, like, music and writing songs is something anybody can do?
Apparently, yeah. I'm gonna go sit down and write a song today. Apparently, get super rich and famous for it.
I'm gonna quit my job teaching music, apparently.
Yeah, because all you have to do, the only prerequisite is that you be a 15-year-old girl in Japan at an all-girls school, as far as I can tell.
Okay, go on.
Look, there's an operation. They can make you a girl. The 15 thing, maybe we can swing it.
I think that ship has sailed.
It's only like half your age. But yeah, it's like they was just like, oh, in order to enter this competition, we just have to write a song. Every group has to write their own song. Okay, we're going to sit down. And they spent 3 days brainstorming, and they came up with lyrics, they came up with the instrumentation, and they came up with the choreography for a dance in 3 days. And then they spent the rest of the month just rehearsing it. It's like, what? No, this isn't how... There are people who are good. There are people who are really good at this. and pump out junky songs for money, in a month. But these are amazing songs. It doesn't work like that. Real life doesn't work like that. You don't just sit down and write a song.
It's just like when my mom told me, you have to watch August Rush. It's such a good movie. The music's so good and so pretty. So I sat down and watched it after she bothered me about it. And it's this little kid who is a musical prodigy. He has no training and doesn't practice. He just sits down and makes beautiful music. And I'm like, oh, well, this is, this
cool.
This is the equivalent of someone with perfect genetics making everyone feel inadequate because they didn't do anything to get there. So then he goes to Juilliard, he writes this orchestral piece at the end, and then there's this big performance, and it's like, it's so pretty. And I'm like, a 40-year-old man wrote that. Let's give credit where credit's due, please.
Exactly. And so, obviously for the anime, all the songs are written by a couple of composers who are actually really good, but for the purposes of the story, and you're supposed to be suspending your disbelief, it's supposed to be this group of teenagers who have just the life experiences of high school students at a unisex school, even writing these beautiful songs.
On the topic of credit where credit's due and how easy apparently it is to write music and how there's completely glossing over the creative process, essentially. I remember you mentioned that there's someone who plays the piano because of course she does, and the rest of them...
And she's really good at the piano, so you could say that she's a piano prodigy, but then she just starts composing. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and the rest of them, they write the lyrics, and then what after that? How do they perform the music? Is she at the piano?
No, that's the best part of the whole thing, and it's never explained who actually performs the music. Sometimes they show a couple students working the audio board, they've got an audio board, but you still have to record music and put it in there. The audio board just controls levels and balances.
The audio board is not a band.
It's not a band, but they write this music and then they have it. And it's not like it's just piano either. Drums, guitars, synthesizer, they play pop music. It's got pop music for instrumentation. Who recorded this? This is a production. Who paid for this? They perform these songs for free. They never talk about money in the whole show. So who is writing these songs and recording this music and then performing it for free? What?
There is a guild for professional musicians.
I'm sure they don't ask for money.
No, it's charity. This high school, they really need to become popular, so it's charity work.
You need to get experience before you can get paid for your work, right?
Well, that's
topic. That's why those unpaid internships are.
Oh, man. The people have gotten in trouble for abusing unpaid internships, but I digest. On the same topic...
Laughing at your own joke.
Well, somebody has to. Crying into my ice cream.
Gotcha.
On the same topic...
Yeah.
The biggest problem I have with High School Musical is not what everyone else has with it, which is that it was made...
Fair.
The problem I have is that the plot is not about this high school girl who plays the piano and is involved in the theater program at her high school and writes a musical, that then the director of the program pulls together the funds and the resources with which to make a premiere of it, and it's a critical success.
Perfect genetics and infinite budget aren't your problem with High School Music. What could it be?
Right. The story of High School Musical, rather than what I just described, is, yay, the star basketball player is going to star in it.
That's what they went with?
There's a lot wrong with that.
The main theme of High School, because I've never seen it.
The story of High School Musical is the star basketball player wants to sing, and... he's conflicted because everyone's trying to make him choose between singing and basketball. And
I bet that you can sing while playing basketball.
It's probably true. In fact, they do, because it's a musical. But anyway, the plot is that he eventually, the girl that is going to star in the musical is cute, so he wants to star in the musical, and he gets cast, and then it turns out that the big game, surprise, is during the musical. So he chooses basketball.
Now he has to choose. but he sings while playing basketball.
He chooses basketball, but then he leaves the game to go to the musical so that he can get the girl and be in the musical. But by that point, because it's the end of the movie, everyone's okay with it.
What? So he leaves the game halfway through, basically abandoning his team, and gets to the musical, which is halfway through. So he's already abandoned them, and they've been scrambling to make up for his absence.
I'm not sure what the timing is. I think he makes it in time for the musical, but he's in his basketball outfit. But I'm pretty sure he doesn't make it to the end of the game.
This guy is clearly a dick.
Yeah, and I love how the story is the star basketball player was conflicted about whether or not he should star, and everyone's all excited and cheers and everything that he stars in it. When off to the side, there's this 14, 15-year-old girl playing the piano for the musical, and she wrote this musical, and her theater director liked it enough that he put together a production of it and did auditions and got kids to do it, and it was a critical success, and nobody gives a flip about her.
And she's not the focus. Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Credit where credit is due. Right?
I just ruined High School Musical for a bunch of people, and I don't regret it at all.
Well, I thought we established that nobody likes High School
there
Musical.
are some people who like it, I guess. Anyway,
should I apologize to them?
No, I'm not being apologetic about this because as a composer myself, I think credit goes where credit is due, and that's all I'm going to say about that. The other point you brought up about the anime was that they were able to do it in a matter of days.
Yeah,
and so it just made me wonder how you would feel if there was like a mechanical engineer who was portrayed as being able to just make a robot, like snapping his fingers without any training, like August Rush style or Japanese teenager style.
Well, until you said it without any training, I was going to say, you mean like Tony Stark, who is, yes, a fictional character.
Well, I'll give it to Tony Stark. He works hard and he has training, but I mean, there are some problems.
He was a prodigy too, though, if you recall, when he was young. He went to, MIT as a 14-year-old.
But he was raised around it. You know, his dad did teach him things. But
Yeah,
he
his
was
dad was a super engineer, too. And to be fair, Tony Stark is, like, my favorite character ever, because that's the engineer every engineer wants to be able to, like, snap your fingers and have your robots make your robots for you.
There's a but here, I think. I think there's a but coming.
But that's not how the world works. And the biggest but
You're a butt.
First movie. What? No, yes, it's Malachi's butt.
First movie. What first movie?
No, it's like it was in the first movie that I was struck with this. That's not how engineering works. It was after he had tested out his prototype of the suit after he got back and redesigned and rebuilt the thing, and found out that when he tries to break the atmosphere, he freezes and the suit shuts down from the low temperatures in the upper atmosphere. And so he has Jarvis, his AI, who runs his house, and apparently his house includes a manufacturing plant, build a new version of it that will be comprised primarily of gold, which apparently is resistant to freezing. Need to check the metallurgy on that. But he says, okay, throw some hot rod red in there, and I have a party to go to, so take care of that while I'm gone. And Jarvis says, well, okay, it'll be done in 5 hours. And that was about the time that my jaw hit the floor, because working in mechanical engineering and having to have parts made and machined, 5 hours is about how long it takes to have one moderately complex piece of metal machined to tolerance.
Okay, so for scale, where would that piece of metal be on the Iron Man suit?
Maybe the finger cap of one of the gauntlets, like the thumb cap, maybe, to start with a little billet and then to machine it down, especially because the fingers on his gauntlets were contoured. That's, you need a 6-axis machine to do it. A 6-axis machine might be able to do it quickly, but I doubt it was made of aluminum, and aluminum is the fastest, engineering metal to cut. It's probably made of steel.
So the implications of this is before he ever made Iron Man suits, mass production, he had to already have made as you said, production plant under his house.
A fully automated production plant that includes multiple 5-axis machines, because you could not do it with multiple 5 or 6-axis machines, because you'd need to be able to make parts in parallel in order to make them that quickly. So unless you have multiple machines,
yeah, I was going to
doesn't...
say like multiple parts of the factory, multiple factories essentially.
Yeah.
And what purpose did he have for that before he was Iron Man?
As far as I could tell, building engine blocks, which you'd still only need one machine for because there's only one block.
I mean, before he becomes Iron Man, he's just the head of his dad's company where they're making the military tech, and he's just going on tour showing them bombs and stuff. But that's
but he engineers in his spare time. I mean, that was like the idea of showing his whole garage of cars. Is he went through and he re-engineered all the parts inside those cars. You recall him
basically
doing the analysis saying, oh, pressure's low in the third cylinder, that thing. He was going to go and re-machine that head so that it would get the proper compression.
So it's like you said, you would only need maybe 1 or 2 assembly lines for that purpose. At what point does he go, I like being Iron Man, but hold on, I've got to take a full year to make 3 more assembly lines?
So it was one of those things where it's just like, yeah, your suit with all the machining, all the electronics, all the anodizing, all the painting. Who's manufacturing the glass, or the Lexan for the visor? Where's that coming from? Electronics, padding, ergonomics, design. All this is, it'll be done in 5 hours. From where? You mean you only have one part left to make? No, from nothing. Starting from 0 will be done in 5 hours.
Yeah,
This is me hitting my head in disbelief.
There's a sort of equivalent in music, which is composers who are able to accomplish things at the last minute. Now, I know you're going to have something to say, how it's not quite the same thing, but composers back in the classical period, like Mozart, would write an entire opera. And preceding the opera, you would have a medley of the tunes contained therein. Essentially like the loading screen for a video game. Like when you first log in, you hear a series of themes. It's usually a compilation of themes. Like World of Warcraft is great about that. It's called an overture.
Okay.
So Mozart would write an opera, and then he would procrastinate on the overture and focus on getting the opera done. And they'd be like, we need an overture, so he'd lock himself up in a room on the second story of a building. He'd write the overture page by page for the full orchestra and throw the page out the window, at which point transcribers would take it, each transcriber having a particular instrument they need to make a part for. Okay. And this is all ink pen, like quill.
Right.
And they'll be like, okay, let me see what the first violin is doing during this page. And they get their page going. Mozart throws another page out. They keep going. They transcribe like the wind. Then they've got to make copies for each individual performer. You got like 20 violins. You're going to need at least 10 parts because they sit at specific stands.
So when he's up there writing the overture, is he writing like a piano part and then they're converting that, as you said, transcribing that into violin? He's writing the violin part.
The transcription would be done by a specific, like, if it was arranged for orchestra afterward, that would be someone else's job before the part writers ever get it. So no, what he's doing is writing the instrumental parts. In fairness, orchestras were pretty small at the time, but still, he was writing it full orchestra, full score, and then throwing it out the window. So I know you're going to tell me how that's not the same thing as mechanical engineering.
I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of moving parts right there.
Well, okay, it's not exactly the same thing as Tony Stark saying, "I'm going to a party, get it done."
Build my thing for me.
This would be if Mozart says, "I'm going to a party," which he went to plenty, and then his computer says, "Okay, well, we've got all these themes from the opera. I'm going to make an overture real quick." And he's, "Okay, throw in some trills and the flute. I'll see you later."
Yeah. Where do you want the trills?
He still had to do it.
Yeah. No, it was like, so yeah, I think that a lot of engineers who are familiar with Marvel look at Tony Stark and go, I'd love to be an engineer like that, because he does all the math in his head and then he just builds stuff in no time flat.
It makes you wonder, like, if you had the resources Tony Stark has, which, in fairness, he made.
I think even if you put me in Tony Stark's lab and said this place can make anything, I'd be like, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know what to make.
Lab or lap?
Just take it all the way back to the beginning.
Right?
The technology's here. You just have to shrink it. Tony Stark did it in a cave.
Tony Stark did this in a cave
with a box of scraps.
Oh my god. Jeff Bridges' performance in that movie was pretty amazing. I liked him.
Jeff Bridges is never not amazing. But let's not.
No, for a moment, let me just say this. I never connected the dude to Obadiah Stane. Ever. Like,
He
it
looks
was
so-
years later that I went to, like, IMDb, and I'm looking at Iron Man, figuring out who this, that, or the other person is, and I see Jeff Bridges go by, and I go, fucking Jeff Bridges was in this film?
He looks so...
Where?
I think he gained some weight for the role because he looks so different, yet there's something about him that you go, that's definitely Jeff Bridges. At least myself.
You went, that's definitely Jeff Bridges. I watched this dude dancing around on the screen, Obadiah Stane, screen, doing his thing, and I never went, Jeff Bridges. I went, who is this guy? He's a good actor.
Yeah. And there was times where I was like, okay, well, this is a Jeff Bridges lookalike, but no, that's Jeff Bridges with like an additional 30 or 40 pounds and a huge thick beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
And he was bald. So.
We could have a whole
He
podcast.
shaved his head. That threw me off.
Yeah, we could have a whole podcast about how amazing Jeff Bridges is, but I think we're nearing the end of this particular
I think
snack.
I think we hit the end. We should do it. Do it. We should say goodbye, everybody.
Vicini said to go back to the beginning, so here I am at the beginning. Princess Bride.
Hashtag goodbye. Princess Bride. Oh, gosh.
Hashtag Princess Bride.
Hashtag Princess Bride.
Good night, guys.
Hashtag
Good night.
unemployed in Greenland.
Nice. I was like, you're not unemployed anymore. Or in Greenland.
Not in Greenland either.
You did visit Iceland, right?
I visited Iceland. I never visited Greenland.
Were you were unemployed when you did either?
No, I wasn't, unfortunately. So I wasn't even unemployed in Iceland.